Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. A lot of people have been asking me what was my preparation strategy for the MCQ section of the CA final exams and what was the study material that I referred to. So in this video, I'll be addressing all those queries, and this would be really helpful for all the people who are going to give their CA final exams. Now, coming to the most important part, that is my in-exam strategy. So I always started my paper with the MCQ section. Now, a lot of people prefer to start their paper with theory. They come back to the MCQ section after an hour or 1.5 hours, or some people mark the MCQs in the end when they have 15 or 20 minutes left so that they can attempt everything very quickly. So the reason why I don't use this approach and start my paper with MCQs is because I feel our brain gets tired after a particular point. Now, if we are writing paper for 2.5 hours, and then we come back to the MCQ section, we are already quite tired. And believe me, MCQs have a 30% weightage in the four papers, except for the elective. And however, this 30 marks is way more important than the remaining 70 marks. Now, the reason is because in the 70 marks section, it is very difficult to score marks. Now, except for IDT and law, where if you are accurate with your answers, you can easily score 40, 50. It's actually very difficult to get more than 50% marks in the theory section, unless and until you are very well prepared and the paper doesn't have a lot of trick questions or difficult questions. It is on average, people score 35 to 40 marks in the 70 marks section. And there are a lot of people who are able to score just 15 to 20. And there is nothing wrong in it. The difficulty level of the paper is so high that sometimes it's just not possible to cross the 20-25 marks out of the 70. So the MCQs provides a platform to every student to give a boost to their score so that they can cross 40 in a subject where they feel they are not strong enough, or they can give a boost to their aggregate score so that they can reach the 200 mark. So always start your paper with the MCQ section. Now, coming to the second point, and that is the amount of time that you should be allocating to the MCQ section. Now, generally, on average, I used to allocate 35 to 60 minutes to the MCQ section, depending on the difficulty level and the kind of questions that are asked. Now, for DT, in my attempt, the MCQs were really challenging. I wouldn't say difficult. It could be easy for certain people, but they were challenging. They tested a lot of concepts. They tested a lot of, I would say, deeper parts of chapters. So I spent 1 hour writing, marking the DT MCQs. For the other subjects, it took me around 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And certain people would feel that that is a lot of time to invest for just 30 marks of your paper. But as I already said, these 30 marks are going to be a game changer for your overall score and for your passing. MCQs could be the difference between a passing and a failing candidate. And the good thing about MCQs is that a lot of people feel dissatisfied with the way their answers are evaluated. They feel that they could have scored more marks, but the examiner didn't check it the way they wanted it to be checked. However, in MCQs, the questions are checked by a machine. So there is no element of subjectivity. And if an answer is right, it's going to be right. No one can take your marks away from you. So I would suggest, I'm not saying it's a compulsion, but always start your paper with the MCQ section. If you are someone like me who gets tired, so yeah, and also you will be giving the freshest version of yourself. That is, you have just started your paper and you don't have any panicky moments yet. So what could happen is, while writing the theory section, you start writing a difficult question, or a long form question, and you might make a mistake and you waste a lot of time. So, or it might happen that there are a lot of things that you don't know, and this is going to demotivate you, and it might also lead to panic during the exam. Now, holding nerves and staying calm in their paper is very important, but we are human and something wrong could happen. So if you attempt your MCQs, which is the scoring part, after all this, then there are going to be psychological aspects involved where you could hamper a scoring section of your paper due to a difficult part of your paper. So always start with MCQs first. I am stressing on this point a lot because I would give the example of audit. I scored 27 in MCQ section, and in the theory section, I got 28 marks, and ICAI gave 5 marks grace. So I scored 16 audit. But if you look at my actual marks, I scored 50% of marks in the MCQ sections, which was of just 30 marks. Now, coming to another point, uh, during my school days and even during CPT, I had a habit of leaving MCQs that I didn't know the answer to or I was not 100% sure about. I thought that at the end of the paper, I'll come back to it and maybe some magic is going to happen and I'll suddenly remember the answer. Now, things like this don't work in the CA final exam. The time constraints are going to be huge. You will have to write so much that you won't have time to come back to questions that you have already given a thought to. So always mark the answers irrespective of whether you know it for sure or you don't. If you are going to, if let's say you don't know an answer right now, then suddenly 2 hours later you are not going to remember the answer. You are going to uh, give a fluke answer. So why not give it right now and save those 2 or 3 important minutes where you could attempt a 1 or 2 mark point, and that could be the difference between passing or failing. So important thing is mark everything in the MCQ section in your first go. Don't leave anything for the end. And yeah, so coming to the next point, don't think about an MCQ after you have marked the answer. Now, this is something that happened to me during the DT paper. So while I was writing the DT paper, there were certain MCQs that I was not very sure about. I knew them, but DT is always, I would say, a tricky subject because there are a lot of similar provisions. So I kept thinking about it for 15 to 20 minutes after I completed the OMR section. So I realized that I'm not able to focus properly on the thing that I should be focusing on right now. That is the theory section. That is the main subjective section of the paper. And that was when I put a hard stop to my thoughts and I I I forgot about the MCQ section completely. I stopped thinking about it. So once you attempt something, don't think about it. Just move on because it's just a 1 or 2 mark MCQ. If you go wrong, it's not going to matter much. But if the thoughts of those MCQ affect your 14-mark answer, then it's going to cost you big time. So don't think unnecessarily. It's important that you use your brain during the exam, but don't overuse it. Now, coming to the study material part, just a second. So I'll share my scores first so that some credibility is established before I talk about my approach. So in audit, I got 27 marks. In law, I got 28 marks. In DT, it's 23, and IDT, it's 22. So if you look at my marks, I scored more than 20 in all 4 of these subjects, and it's a good score, I feel. So now coming to what was my preparation, I actually didn't prepare for the MCQ section at all, except for the DT case studies part. So ICAI uploads MCQ booklets on the BOS portal, and these booklets are quite huge. It takes a lot of time to solve them. So I realized that I had time. It's not like I didn't have time, but I felt like I needed more time investment for the actual theory content of the subjects. I needed to get in another revision. So I decided to compromise on the MCQ part, and instead I went through my study material. So whatever study material or faculty notes that you are using, I went through it twice thoroughly, properly, without leaving anything. And for certain important topics like SEBI LODR, or Audit Committee and Corporate Governance of Law and Audit respectively. I'll get back to why I specifically named these two topics. So the important topics I went through thrice, and I feel that even the MCQs are made from the theory section. So if you are going through the theory section properly, then you will definitely be able to attempt the MCQs really well, as I was able to. Now, the reason why I mentioned SEBI LODR audit committee chapters is because when I was attempting my mock test paper, I had a case study MCQ on the limits of audit committee remuneration and nomination remuneration committee, etc. So the MCQ was on the lines of a company which was not listed. It was going to get listed. So what are the requirements? What are the limits that the company needs to follow? So over there, I realized the fact that there could be a question on limits, and that could be a case study based question. And case study based MCQs, I think, come for 8 to 10 marks. So if you are totally unaware about something and a case study based MCQ is asked on that particular topic, then you are risking 8 to 10 marks. So that is when I realized that whichever topics I felt where MCQs could come or in general were important for the theory part, I went through thrice so that I'm at least able to attempt 2 or 3 MCQs from the case study. Now, this particular approach is suitable only for those people who are not leaving anything for option. If you plan on leaving C category chapters, D category chapters, E category, whatever category chapters you are planning on leaving, if you are doing something of this sort, then it's important that you go through the MCQ booklet of ICAI, because you won't be able to attempt MCQs that come from those sections. Now, in my attempt, I'll be honest, it was really important to go through the B and C category chapters because a lot of stuff was asked in the MCQs and in the theory section, and leaving anything for option was very, I would say, a grave mistake. Now, for DT case studies, I refer to CA Harsh sir's playlist. He has solved every single MCQ of the DT case study booklet in such great detail, and I would say that it's almost like a DT subject revision. So that really helped me to get some amount of confidence in the DT MCQs. I didn't go through the normal MCQ section. I only went through the case study based MCQs. But in case you want to refer to MCQ videos, I would suggest you watch his videos. He has put in a lot of effort, and it's free. It's free resource. There are free resources are for the welfare of students, and it's a great initiative by Arish sir. So yes, that's it. These are the points that I wanted to cover. Just a second, I'll look at my checklist whether I missed any point. So yeah, that's it. There's nothing left. In case you have any preparation doubts or you want to ask me anything regarding how I prepared in the MCQ or in the theory section, the notes that I referred to, you can definitely approach me. You can ask the doubts in the comment section. I read all the comments, and I'll give a very elaborate answer to it. Or you can connect with me on social media. I've put the links in the description box. And if you have any video suggestions or you need anything, you can definitely text me. I'll definitely try to help you out or make a video on that particular topic. So yes, that's it. I hope this video was helpful. All the best for the coming exams, and I hope that you ace the exams and score as much marks as you could. Thanks a lot for joining. Subscribe to Edge Invests for more.